Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to my X Factor blog. Now firstly, let me apologise for not putting a blog out last week. I was busy with some rare but actual work. But what a week to miss. Simon was stung in the face by a bee. Cheryl finally revealed why she thinks Joe is so special.
He's just a normal kid with a massive package.
And of course, it was also the week that Lloyd Daniels left the competition. Now, I've never been Lloyd's biggest fan, but I can appreciate some of his good points. And so with that in mind, here are his best bits. So then, on to this week's show. The final is rapidly approaching, and I was so excited, I actually got a... Sammy! No, I got a group of friends over to watch the show. But what was the theme?
The first round of the songs tonight are all about the incredible music of the biggest pop star of all time.
Rick Waller?
Tonight, we pay tribute to the legend that is the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson!
That does make more sense. They're paying tribute to Michael Jackson. But of course, Daniel Johnson has already paid his tribute to Michael by Yes, it was Michael Jackson night. Ollie came dressed as a dentist, Stacey came dressed as the world's most disappointing strippogram, and one of the dancers came dressed as John and/or Edward. But it was a very serious night because one of the 4 contestants would be leaving, as Louis explained.
4 contestants left and there's only 3 places in the final. The battle is seriously on now.
So 4 contestants, but only 3 places. This should be pretty easy. I've got some space here to jot the names down. All we have to do is work out who deserves it the most.
You thoroughly deserve your place next week in the final.
Easy. Ollie.
We've got to see you in that final.
Stacey.
You totally deserve to be in the final.
And Daniel. Easy peasy.
Well, you have to be in the final.
Right, okay, we'll get rid of Ollie and pop Joe in.
You have to be in the final.
Right, okay, we'll get rid of Stacey, pop Ollie there. Fine. No worries, we'll get rid of Daniel and we'll put Stacey in there. There we go.
Absolutely, 100% deserve your place in the final.
Okay, we'll get rid of Joe then. We'll put Daniel in there. Fine.
And I genuinely wish and hope that you are there next week because you deserve it.
Okay, right. Ollie can go. We'll put Joe in.
People need to vote for Ollie because he deserves to be in the final.
Oh, for God's sakes. Right, we'll get rid of Stacey. We'll put Ollie in there.
Stacey deserves her place in the final 3.
Right, Stacey can go up the top instead of Daniel.
And after that performance, I wish you the best of luck to be in the final.
Right, okay, Daniel can go there.
You deserve to be in the final. That's all I know. Thanks.
Do you know what? Can you just try and make your minds up? So things would have to be settled the old-fashioned way, a sing-off. And first up was Ollie Murs, who impressed Louis with his song choice.
I like the fact you didn't pick a very well-known song.
Yeah, Louis's been in the music industry for years, and it's very rare for him to find a song or a band or an artist that he doesn't recognise. What was it again, Ollie?
We can work it out. We can work it out.
We can work it out. I'm with Louis on this one. I'm going to have to look that one up in my Encyclopedia of Music. It'll be in W. Let's have a look. www. We Can Work It Out. Apparently it's by the Beatles. Beatles. Never heard of them. This week, Ollie continued his I did this once and people seem to like it, so I'll do it every single week dance, and he stole a camera angle off that kid from Britain's Got Talent. Meanwhile, Sweaty Face and lovable Geordie Joe McKeltry was so relentlessly and consistently good this week that there's nothing amusing or interesting for me to say about him, so we'll brush over his performances and move on to Stacey, who, as you may remember, is now called The Voice.
Here's The Voice, this is Stacey Solomon.
Yes, Danny's still plugging away with the new nickname, and it seems to be catching on.
It's all about The Voice. And I think the whole production took away from The Voice, Danny. I'm sorry.
So what was Stacey's?
The Voice.
Sorry, I mean The Voice's production. Well, it mainly seemed to be about a woman who wasn't wearing any trousers. Stacey's clearly getting paid much less than Daniel Johnson for the X Factor tour.
I can afford long trousers, I think, now, so...
Ooh, la-di-da. It's all right for some, isn't it, eh? Huh? Anyway, as ever, Stacey reminded me of something. Yes, it's one of those isn't that a bit cruel photo looky-likey moments. Hey, it could have been worse. I could have compared her to her own sister, who looks like one of those really bad waxworks of Stacey.
I suppose you think that was funny using a wax dummy?
Now, we all know that the X Factor likes to chase high ratings, but I didn't know that they would stoop so low as to steal an idea from another popular TV show.
Simon, what's with the screams and the polar bear?
That can't be a polar bear.
Confused when the polar bear came on the screen. What?
It's a polar bear.
All you two can talk about are stupid polar bears.
It's a polar bear.
Polar bears.
We didn't choose the polar bears.
Yes, it was Daniel Johnson and his polar bears. It's funny that the judges picked up on it because I thought some of the other stuff behind him was much weirder.
They follow each other on the wind, you know. When I got nowhere to go, that's why I want you to know.
So all 4 acts had performed. It was time for the results show on Sunday with a very special guest.
On this stage, one of the biggest pop stars on the planet.
Rick Waller?
Lady Gaga's going to be here, people.
That makes more sense. Now, is it just me, or has Lady Gaga let herself go a bit?
Joe makes a final, I'll be the proudest mum on the planet.
And Gaga wasn't the only guest, there was another.
A massive worldwide superstar.
Is Rick Waller worldwide?
Janet Jackson.
That makes more sense. Now, Janet is a woman who knows how to make an entrance. It's just a shame that she's not quite so good at making an exit.
After the break, it is the results. We find out.
And speaking of exits, which we were, it was time for one of our contestants to leave. Daniel had a sad face, Ollie had a worried face, Joe had an anxious face, and Stacey had a long face. It's too easy. Now, as you know, in the end, Daniel Johnson left the competition. But why? Maybe it was something to do with this. Daniel was given the opportunity of the Jesus light, but he couldn't stop himself from bobbing up and down. And like Rachel Adedeji, he was absorbed into the light.
Loser, 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 loser.
But Daniel made the most of his last show and did more mic juggling than was thought humanly possible. So then we have our finalists. Joe, Stacey and Ollie are going to be battling it out to be crowned the champion of X Factor 2009. I'll be watching, of course, on Saturday and then blogging about it next week. But in the meantime, if you've enjoyed watching this, please do send it on. If you've got Facebook, post it out there. If you've got Twitter, please tweet about it. And of course, send it on via email to whoever you know. And do come and say hi to me as well. I am at Matt Edmondson on Twitter. All that's left for me to say is goodbye. I hope you enjoy the final on Saturday and Sunday. And, of course, I hope you enjoy this. It is the final group performance. You've ruined the suit! You've ruined the suit!